So imagine this. Monday, April 28th, 2025. It's just after lunchtime in Madrid, maybe 11:30 a.m. in Lisbon. People are, just going about their day.
Yeah, totally normal Monday.
And then just silence.
Yeah.
Darkness. The entire Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal just plunged into a total blackout.
Yeah.
Around 12:30 p.m. Madrid time.
Wow. Just like that. The whole thing.
The whole thing. It sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it? Not exactly your typical Monday afternoon.
Absolutely not. And the scale, I mean, that's what really grabs you. Millions of people suddenly without any power. Think about the immediate chaos.
Oh, yeah. Instantly.
Yeah.
The metros in Madrid and Lisbon packed with people just grinding to a halt mid-tunnel for some.
Terrible. And then the trains, right? High-speed AVEs, local commuter lines, just frozen on the tracks across both countries.
Thousands stranded. You picture places like Atocha in Madrid or Saints in Barcelona, just packed with people, trips completely ruined.
And it wasn't just trains, was it? Air travel got hit hard, too.
Right. Madrid's Barajas airport. Flights just canceled. Imagine being somewhere like, I don't know, Paris, ready to fly to Spain, and your flight just vanishes from the board. Total disruption.
And then the everyday stuff. You mentioned the Madrid Open tennis tournament.
Yeah, just stopped. Lights out. Place suspended. Even getting cash. ATMs offline.
And hospitals. That's serious. La Paz in Madrid, hospitals in Portugal. Having to postpone surgeries, anything non-emergency. It really shows how fundamentally dependent we are.
It really does. A society just stopped in its tracks.
What's so striking is how fast it happened and how total it was. For a modern, developed part of Europe to just go dark like that,
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of.
Exactly. And, okay, thankfully, power was mostly back by Tuesday morning around 7 a.m., they said.
Which is a relief, obviously.
Huge relief. But the big question, the massive elephant in the room, is still why? What on earth caused this? That's the real puzzle here.
That's what we're digging into today, right? What happened?
Yeah, exactly. The lights are back on, sure, but the why is, well, it's murky. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack what we actually know, look at the theories flung around, and try to grasp the significance of this event, this El Cero, the zero event, as the Spanish grid operator called it.
Okay, so where do we start? In today's world, I guess the immediate thought for many people must have been cyber attack.
You bet. Targeting critical infrastructure. It definitely has that sudden, widespread feel to it, and we did hear some noise about that early on.
Yeah, I remember the leader of the Andalusia region came out quite strongly, suggesting, something this big had to be cyber.
Understandable reaction, I suppose. But the official word from the cybersecurity folks in Spain, Portugal, and the EU's agency, ENISA, they're all saying pretty clearly that they haven't found any evidence. No digital fingerprints, nothing.
Right. And pulling off an attack like that, taking down two countries' grids simultaneously, that's incredibly complex. Teresa Ribera from the European Commission basically said the signs just weren't there. Some experts also point out grids aren't always one single entity, digitally speaking, making a total takedown harder.
So the cyber attack theory, while maybe the first guess for some, seems unlikely based on what the experts are saying now.
Okay, so if not cyber, what about theory number 2? This one sounded a little bit strange at first.
You mean the one from Portugal's grid operator, RN? The rare atmospheric phenomenon?
Yeah, that one. They initially suggested, extreme temperature swings inside Spain causing vibrations in the power lines, and somehow that knocked the whole European grid out of sync.
It did sound, well, pretty wild, like something out of science fiction almost.
Yeah.
The atmosphere attacking the power grid.
And Spain's own meteorological agency, AEMET, stepped in pretty fast, didn't they?
They did. They basically said, no. No weird weather, no extreme temperature shifts, nothing that could explain something on this scale. So RN seemed to kind of walk that back later.
Okay, so probably not space weather or atmospheric vibrations. Which leads us to what feels more plausible, even if it's still fuzzy, a physical problem.
Right, a fault somewhere in the grid itself. The head of operations for Red Electrica, Spain's grid operator, talked about a very strong oscillation within their network.
An oscillation, like a huge wobble in the power flow.
Basically. And apparently this oscillation, this wobble, was so severe it automatically disconnected Spain from the wider European grid, like a safety measure tripping.
Okay. And because Spain and Portugal's grids are so tightly linked, Spain disconnecting just dragged Portugal down with it. a domino effect.
That seems to be the leading idea. Portugal's prime minister even sort of pointed the finger, suggesting the problem started in Spain.
And there were those unconfirmed reports, weren't there, about a fire near a power line in southwestern France? Could that have been a trigger?
Possibly. It's been mentioned, but nothing confirmed. It could, in theory, cause instability that ripples outwards. But the core mystery is still what caused that initial really powerful oscillation inside Spain's grid.
Exactly. That's the missing piece. Red Electrica themselves admitted they're still trying to figure out what went wrong in those critical, what was it, 5 seconds?
5 seconds, it's almost unbelievable. A 5-second event triggers a peninsula-wide blackout. Was it a massive cable failure? A key substation blowing? That's what the investigation needs to find.
And inevitably, whenever there's a blackout, especially somewhere like Iberia with lots of renewables, the finger often points towards solar and wind, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, that came up. People arguing, maybe these intermittent sources made the grid unstable.
But Prime Minister Sanchez seemed pretty quick to dismiss that.
Very quick. He stated clearly, no indication that too much renewable energy was the culprit. And think about the timing midday. That's peak solar production time.
Right. Spain actually has a lot of experience managing a grid with a high percentage of renewables. They're kind of pioneers in that. So blaming solar and wind here feels, well, probably off the mark.
Modern grids are built to handle variability. Integrating renewables needs smart management, sure, but Spain's generally been good at that. So probably not the renewables themselves.
Okay, so summing up the causes. Cyberattack. Unlikely. No evidence. Weird weather. Seems debunked. Renewables. Also seems unlikely. The prime suspect is this massive, sudden oscillation of physical grid failure starting in Spain, but the precise trigger, still unknown.
Exactly. Still a bit of a mystery. Now, the power's mostly back on, as we said. Metro's running again. Maybe some lingering train issues for a bit.
But the impact on people, we shouldn't forget that. You mentioned the Red Cross setting up shelters and train stations.
Yeah, for thousands of stranded travelers. And reports of people rushing supermarkets, worried about how long it would last. Panic buying.
That collective experience, being stranded, the uncertainty, it really hammers home how much we rely on this invisible infrastructure.
Totally. And seeing a huge event like the Madrid Open just stop. It's a powerful image. Plus, the emergency services rescuing all those people stuck on trains and metros, tens of thousands apparently, turning arenas into shelters. Huge effort.
And this whole event, this El Cerro, it feels like more than just a Spanish or Portuguese problem. It feels like a wake-up call for Europe, doesn't it?
It really does. We've seen big blackouts before. Remember Italy in 2003 and those issues linked to the German grid back in 2006.
Right. But the sheer scale here and the fact that the cause is still so murky, it makes this Iberian blackout stand out.
It forces us to look at how fragile these interconnected systems might be. Spain and Portugal are linked, and they link into the bigger European grid.
That's usually good, right? Sharing power stability.
Usually, yes. But it also means a big enough problem in one place can cascade, like we saw here. It raises serious questions about resilience. Are there single points of failure, one crucial cable, one substation that could take down huge areas? And even though cyber seems unlikely this time, the fact it was the first thought for many shows we constantly need to be thinking about cybersecurity for energy systems. Smart grids are great, but they potentially open new doors for attackers too.
Absolutely. And it underscores the need for redundancy, for diverse energy sources, for backup systems. You can't rely on just one thing.
Politically, the response seems to be cautious investigation, Sanchez calling for calm, let the experts work. Portugal may be hinting it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, and it went high up. The King of Spain convening the National Security Council, that shows how seriously they're taking it.
And online, predictably, a total explosion of theories, right?
Yeah.
Some wild, some plausible. The Prime Minister even had to warn about misinformation spreading.
A sign of the times, unfortunately. But the bottom line for now is power's back, life is returning to normal, but the investigation is very much ongoing.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, the main takeaway is, well, we still don't know for sure what caused it. This massive blackout is resolved for now, but the questions linger.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, of how much we depend on these complex systems humming away in the background. We just expect the lights to work.
Maybe it makes you think a little bit about that fragility, about our always-on world and the infrastructure holding it all together. Perhaps makes you wonder when you last checked the batteries in your emergency flashlight, eh?
Definitely something to ponder. The silent systems we take for granted.